Okay, so I've got the Cloud9 environment opened, and I'm just going to sign in, and I'm going to create a new workspace. So I created this earlier in a key press example. I'm just going to create a new workspace for me. Okay. Well, you probably get most out of this if you work alongside me with it, right? Don't worry if you make mistakes, I can help you with it. My project name, I'm just going to call it 6 dash October. Let me. So 6 dash October 2016. And the description, I'm just going to say clicks and events in jQuery. Alright. I'm not going to choose a team for the workspace. And with this, I don't need a PHP. I can just use the HTML5 environment. So I'll click and create the workspace. Oh. So it doesn't like my name, so I'll just change that to underscores rather than dashes. Looks like it. October. Okay, October 6. There we go. You're right enough. So we can't start with a number. So it'll just create the workspace. It will take a wee minute. Okay, so just to we're getting a bit of a delay with this loading, so I'm going to use Notepad. And in here, I'm just going to set up a basic document type. So just start doc type HTML. I'm just going to make the font a bit bigger so you can all see it. Okay, you all see that okay? Alright. So doc type HTML, which means it's HTML5. I'll just stick an HTML tag in there. The head section and the body section. Now, as I said, this isn't going to be particularly pretty to look at, but we can spend a bit more time to concentrate on CSS later on. The main thing is that what this document is going to do is it's going to activate an onload command, which calls a function. All right. So in here, I'm going to say body onload equals. Okay, and just put in two quotes like that. They're all not working just now. I'm just using Notepad instead. Alright, sorry. I was copy and paste it in when it goes. Okay. So body onload equals. Now in there, I've got to give a function name. Okay. You should all be familiar with functions from last year, yeah? Right, so function name, I'm just going to call it my function. Now, if you have got a good habit of notating functions, then go for it. Alright. Some people like to always start functions with F's. So it would be f my function or variables with v's, whatever, right? It's different ways of working. So body onload my function. Now, I have not defined this function, so in the head of my document, I am going to go in and say script. And close script. Okay. And in here, I'm going to actually define my functions. So the first function I'm going to do is have an alert coming up. So I'm just going to say function, my function. Hopefully you'll see it's the same. Was it C++ you guys did? Hopefully you'll see it's pretty much the same, isn't it? Not much difference. So in here, I want a wee alert box to pop up. And just say hello. Okay, and I'm just going to go save as. Now, the important thing here is that you know we are saving it. Okay, so make a folder. So I'm going to save this in a folder called jQuery that I've just made, and I am going to just call this one onload.html. Okay. Again, you're all big enough to know where to save things and what you name them. All right. So onload.html. I'm just going to save that there, and then I will just go and find my folder. And open up a file, and you'll see right away it says hello world, and every time I refresh the page it comes up hello world. Alright, so what's happening there is as soon as the body of the page is loaded, it calls my function. It then goes up and sees where my function's been defined. It's been defined there, and the output is hello world. Okay, a nice simple wee program. Make sense to everyone? Anyone want to talk through it? Doesn't work. I'll have a in a second. Right, okay. So I'm going to do something slightly different. In the body of my page, I'm just going to put in a forum. Now again, I'm skipping a few steps. I'm not going to name the form or give it an action or a method or anything like that, right? So I'm just going to say form, and in that form I'm going to put in a button. So input type equals button. Value is just what appears inside the button. And what you can do with the button is you can put an onClick event on it. And this time I'm going to call a function called do something. Alright. Now again, if I run this just now, so say I save that and refresh my page, it's still giving me the alert, and that's fine. If I click on my button, nothing happens. Right? Now, I'm using Internet Explorer for this just now, which I don't particularly like. So I'm going to use Chrome for this wee exercise. And I'll just paste that in there. So you'll see that the alert comes up in Chrome, and I've got my button, and I click on my button and nothing happens. Why is nothing happening? Right, I'm calling a function that doesn't exist. Good. Now, this should help you, because this is a deliberate error, right? I make plenty of errors without them deliberate. You'll see there, I've got a wee nine errors, right? It's not really 9 errors, it's just that's how many times I've clicked on the button. And each time I click on the button, you'll see it generates an error. So what I can do is go to console, and you'll see there, right enough, line 20, on do something is not defined. Right, just like you said. So we need to go and write the function do something. Now, you can put these scripts anywhere in your page, but they must be between script tags. So I'm just going to go in here underneath my function and put in function to do something. Now let's make this function a wee bit more interesting than the last one. So in this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to get to access. We're going to use the DOM, right? Aye, sure. There you go. So in the page, I'm just going to create a paragraph, and I'm going to give it an ID of blah. Okay. And I'm not putting anything in this paragraph. It's just a blank paragraph. But the ID, now I've spoken to you about IDs before. An example of an ID could be what? For you guys in college, what is your ID? Your student number. It's a unique identifier in the college. So an ID in a web page is a unique identifier. All right. So we have given that an ID. And in this function do something, I want to put something dynamically into this paragraph here, right? Because if I save the page and show you it just now, you'll see there, the error's been fixed because there's no error coming up, but the function doesn't do anything, right? And there's nothing, and there's the only thing in the page is this. So the paragraph hasn't appeared, so I'm not putting it in it. So what I want to do is for this button to fire the function called do something and to make that appear on the page. And by that you can access the inner HTML, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the DOM, all right? And I'm going to say document dot get element. The capitalization is important here. Get element by, that's capital B, and I, capital I. And then in here, I put in the ID being blah. And I'm going to say dot inner HTML equals. Okay, and in there I will just put in Glasgow Clyde College. Okay, and a semicolon at the end of the line. So you are actually using the structure of the document to grab this element by its ID and then change its HTML value inside it. Does that make sense? So I'm going to save this and run my code. That's okay, click on there, and you'll see now Glasgow Clyde College appears on the page. Alright, and what you have done there is you've taken this value here and stuck it into the inner HTML of the ID blah. And this would work just as well. See if that was an H1 ID blah down there, end H1. Works exactly the same way. Once you put an ID on an element, you can hook into it and do things with it. You can change its color and you can change its content. You can do various things. So if I save that and refresh it, Glasgow Clyde College. And it is actually, it's changing its HTML because if I go in here and say I type in Langside and save that, you'll see that statically Langside has come up, but if I click the button, it changes it to Glasgow Clyde College. So you can see how buttons in JavaScript can team up to change the content of a document. You all with me? Right, just another a wee add-on here. We can also use the DOM to get the address of this page that we're on. Now, this will be different depending on what machine you're on and where you've saved things. But see, rather than using this as a string, what I could do here is say document. I should use the DOM document.location .href. But you've seen href before, yes? When you're setting up hyperlinks. So I save that and hello world, and then click on the button, and you'll see that instead of giving you Glasgow Clyde College, it actually gives you the path of the file because I've just said document.location.href. So that's you accessing the location of the document. And that can be quite a useful thing to do as well. Make sense?